Good morning, everyone. We are back with Kim Shukalas with NIA Twin Cities, Network Connection Twin Cities. And this is your tip of the week. Actually, this tip comes directly from Kim, who asked a question earlier this morning about reviews. What was your question, Kim?
We had our conference Zoom this morning with all the Network and Action franchise owners, and they were talking about reviews if they're like 6 months or older, that they're not really relevant. And I just, since you're the expert on that, I'd like you to share with our viewers the importance of current and plenty of online reviews.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and it's an important question, especially since we had such an insurgence of people moving to the internet during COVID, right? We were all homebound or locked down, and a lot of people just went online looking for new vendors or vendors that they could rely on and trust to be there for them in some tight moments. So it's really important that we have those reviews as business owners and entrepreneurs. But there is a misconception about when, how often, and how many reviews you need. I have seen several situations where people get into this, yep, I got to work on my reviews now. And they just flood their Google or whatever other utility that they happen to be using online. I'm going to say Google because I think everybody's familiar with that platform and uses it frequently. So they just flood these reviews and then they just go stagnant. So you might have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 reviews all of a sudden show up in a 2-day period, and then weeks and months go by with nothing. So there is this mindset of more is better than none, but consistency is the key. So if you are working on a review strategy for your business, and you should be, and if you are new and you're new to this NIA network, please talk to Kim about her RepMan product, because it's an amazing solution to help you kind of get these things rolling. But if you're working on that review strategy, I want you to taper it a little bit. I want you to, it's almost like putting a governor on your car. I want you to kind of pull back a little bit and drip these out. You don't need 15 of them to hit your timeline or your account today. A couple a week over 12 months is going to be awesome. And then even then, let's talk about the quality of review. It's not as important to constantly get those 5-star reviews as it is important to have reviews that don't just give you that star rating, but actually cite a circumstance that happened while they were working with you. Something that compelled them to want to tell others about you. What was it in that moment in time that you solved for them? What pain point did you solve? What product or service did you bring to them? So have them, it'll help when you invite people to review you, if you're doing that, to give them a little bit of something to think about. Because just asking them to do a review is where things kind of stop. And when people get frustrated that they're not getting the reviews, and then they flood them all of a sudden, it's typically because people don't know what to say. If I were to ask you today, Kim, can you write a review about me? What's the first thing you're going to say to me?
Well, I could say a lot now.
But back then you would have said, what should I say? Right? They get stuck in that mindset, and that's where kind of that gate shuts the flow of information off. So that's my first tip, is set a strategy where you're trickling this through. In that strategy, tip number 2, give them something to think about. What did we just work on together? What did I solve for you? What could I have done better, right? Transparency is also really important. These don't all, again, have to be 5-star reviews. If you've got a few of those 3 or 4-star and people are being honest and compelled, nobody's going to hold that against you. And if you happen to get somebody who goes out on their own rogue and doesn't like the way something goes and puts that out there as well, and you get that occasional 1 or 2-star, address it. Don't just leave it hanging there. the prospective customers that you have coming to research you are more interested in how you handle that situation than you trying to bury it and pretend it doesn't happen at all. So reviews are our tips this week and how to handle them and frequency of those. Does that help?
I always say, if somebody, if you're having a cup of coffee, if you're Zooming with them, if you're on the phone, and they're just like, oh my gosh, you saved the day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And say, ask them about that. Like, what has made a difference for you? Be specific and then say, you know what, that stuff you just told me, and you just grab your phone or whatever and say, can you take just a couple minutes of your time and write me a review? Make it easy for them and ask them on the spot and ask them specifically, will you share that specific event that I did this, how I helped save you money or make you money is typically what you want to share.
Time. Yeah.
Well, and money's time. We always talk about that, right? So that's the tip.